David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. Pleasure to be here.
Same here. Been looking forward to having this interview with you. With that said, let's just kick it right off. Let's go with a one word open. Can you tell the audience and I what's that one word you want to open up this interview with?
I would say stoked. Stoked to be here and be interviewing and talking about what I do and sharing with your audience.
Awesome. I'm super pumped to get this kicked off. So take the next few minutes. Tell us about who David is, how you got started and what you do, and how you help people and where you're at today. That'd be great.
I am an impact investor. And how did I get where I am today? Well, I was in real estate originally and still am. And I also had experience as a speaker in the personal development field for some years. And so those two kind of tied in. I got opportunities to start moving beyond real estate and into the startup investing. And obviously, startups are disruptive and are often making a difference in the world. And from my background in the personal development field, I had the interest in human progress and general trends and how to improve things in our lives and in our world. So you mix those together, I guess you could say it was a natural progression that I'd end up in investments that are impacting our world for the positive. So, as I say, started, with real estate. My family background was agriculture, kind of. So I am, a down to earth person because of 4 generations in agriculture. You don't end up not with some pragmatism and practicality. But also, having been in the other fields, I also see the need for development. So how we merge those two together.
That's awesome. I can't wait to dive deeper into that as well. So tell us about a recent big win that you're proud of that you want to share with us.
Well, I would say, two actually come to mind, and they're somewhat similar. One was where I was, for my work, I was a panelist at the Nobel Peace Center during Nobel Prize Week. And that is a pretty big deal. And I was on a panel on Omniwin partnerships solving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And also for my work, I was named a fellow of the Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures, and Commerce. And that's also a big deal. And what I would say I learned from those is a lot of stuff is your network and what you've been doing. And when you've been doing, some great work, it tends to get noticed. And those were two things that I actually didn't anticipate or reach out for myself, which the lesson there is that if you're doing good work and you're meeting and working with people who are doing a lot of good things, that sometimes those biggest wins come from where you would least expect it.
So true. I know exactly what you mean, and I think a lot of people will agree with us who are listening right now. So, tell us what's the difference between philanthropy and social impact investing, and why should investors care?
Well, philanthropy, often you'll think of a 501(c)(3) or a charity, something that's doing good, and that is great. That's something that is needed in this world, but it is also very different from an investment. An investment is something that has potential for profit. Uh, and is a business, and businesses, by their very nature, in my personal opinion, have a lot more capacity to scale, and therefore, because of that, they have more ability to make impact in some ways. Not that 501(c)(3)s and charitable endeavors are not a good thing and a necessity for various things, but they do have their limits. And businesses, by their very structure, have that capacity for growth and built in. And I would say that if it's an investment, it needs to have a potential for profit. And if you look back where there is a problem in history and somebody solves that problem, that is, they make a lot of money. So obviously, impact investments can be very profitable, but it's just like anything else. You got to pick a good business. Don't pick junk. And so it's basically, I would look at it as an impact investment, be something that is disruptive, that has potential to bring, a positive change, but it also has the potential to be profitable, and often quite profitable.
Good stuff, David. So tell us, what's the best way to check out an impact investment? If I'm someone that wants to just check out some sort of impact investing, from your professional opinion, what's the best way to check it out and find out more?
Well, again, as I say, you got to do your due diligence, just like any investment, and that's where it comes down to determining whether something's a quality business or is junk. And if you're looking at startups, it's obviously going to be a different kind of due diligence than if you're looking at something that's on the New York Stock Exchange. But a lot of the time, I personally, because I am not an institution and don't have certain mandates, I have a little more flexibility than maybe an institution that's looking at that through certain ESG metrics. And that's, for somebody who's looking, yeah, you could look at ESG metrics, environmental, social governance, and see where those things fit in. But I mean, I look at it personally. I can add in other factors, as of course the basic business stuff, and whether they have a market for it that is there, whether the team is good, whether the product, all sorts of factors that are traditional. I look at that when I'm looking at a startup, or also even just general stock. You look at the basic things. But the added thing would be is what is this doing? That when I'm looking at it, what is the impact? And again, I think there's a big tie-in, for the 21st century. Those who are solving the problems we created in the 20th century, they're going to be the big money makers, and they're going to be the heroes too.
Awesome. David, I know that you're an experienced crypto investor. What advice would you give someone who's looking to invest in cryptocurrency right now with everything that's happening in the marketplace? I would love to hear your opinion on that as well.
Well, that's an interesting question, because I think what's happening in the market right now, ironically, is a good thing for the market overall. I mean, yes, there's a lot of carnage, and yes, it's impacting, unfortunately, people who put money in. But if you look at the market, to where it was now, it is. There was a lot of speculation on junky projects, and you had you had almost too much growth too fast. So and it will weed out some of those. Well, I'm going to use the term because people use the term in the crypto market. It gives me an excuse to say a bad word, shit coins. But it'll weeds a lot of that out, which is a positive long-term trend. I do, crypto is here to stay, and given the fact that there are uh, a lot of the world still has not adopted, but that adoption curve is accelerating. It, it's it is it is going to be around still, but if somebody's going to invest, I encourage them, number one, do their own due diligence. Number two, pick a project that's quality. That's going to be key. And if a market is down, that's overall usually a better time to buy, provided you're picking something that's going to endure and has longer term growth potential. So I'm not personally too concerned. I think, unfortunately, we had a lot of people looking at this as a get rich quick scheme, which is not a healthy thing in any market. You get a mania involved that is not, that creates, problems. And but overall, the technology is going to be around, in my personal opinion. And just be smart. I personally I am diversified in a number of different things apart from crypto. I think where a lot of problems come is when people are leveraging and using high leverage, and when people are putting money they can't afford to lose into something, and that something turns out to be junk. And it's very unfortunate, but also from a broader market perspective and longer term, this is something that this correction is something that is needed, and hopefully weeds out some garbage.
Awesome, David. What's that one question that you feel I should have asked you in this interview, but I didn't? So tell us what that would be and also answer it, please.
What are some of the diverse sectors that I am involved in?
Perfect.
I'm in a lot of different things, everything from renewable energy to climate. That includes a climate company that's based in Norway. I'm in healthcare in Africa. I'm in ed tech and AI through a company that's that is helping to reskill workers whose jobs are going to be automated out of existence in the coming years, and that's so that obviously gives you an idea. Like, I'm looking at impact overall, things that are solving major problems. And I mean, most sectors I've got a company in, and on most continents.
Awesome. If our listeners wanted to find out more information and to connect with you online, I want you to take this opportunity to give out your social handles and your website address, or however is your preferred method of communication. Please feel free to share that with us now.
My name is David Hamilton Nichols, and if you search that under almost any major social media platform, you'll find me there. The user handle is at David H. Nichols, and my website is davidhamiltonnichols.com. That's David, D-A-V-I-D, Hamilton, Hamilton, Nichols, Nichols.com.
Awesome. Here we are at the end. I want you to sign us off with a one-word close, but also tell us why you're choosing this word to sign off with.
Excited. Excited because there are tremendous possibilities for our future if we choose in this decade how to handle things correctly. If we navigate this decade correctly, we can have a better world. We're at a choice point right now because of all the different technologies and Gutenberg level events that are coming together all at once in our world. And if we use those and choose to use those correctly, we can really make that difference and make a lot of money while doing that. And so I think that is where I see that promise, and granted with a little bit of anxiety as well, because we are not we don't always choose the best, but that is an excitement where we are going and where that potential is. So yes, I would say excited is my closing word.
Awesome, David. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much, Tony. Been a pleasure.